Okay, good afternoon, followers. We hope that you are doing well out there. You have had a great weekend. Today on this show, you have Mujema Emmanuel. I'm the co-host of DecideX, an entrepreneurship platform. I'm joined here by a number of friends. I wish to introduce them. Here is Mr. Frank Arvaduka. I think I can hand over the floor to you and you introduce our guest and you also tell our audience who you are, the company you're working with, and actually you tell them a bit about the DecideX.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mlema. My pleasure hosting
Thank you so much.
I'm simply just co-hosting, and also due to the topic we have today, we'll be kind of giving some of the expertise and guidance on why startups fail. Because the topic of ours today is why startups fail. And it's my joy that I'm co-host now, on and off. I'll be coming, but he is now the man in control. And we have Mr. Chairman Liaf. He's a great friend of mine. And we have is Jean-Baptiste, and we have Mr. Mlagwa, the executive and co-founder of Loot Foundation. They do much of the service business and all that. Possibly, yeah, they can go on with the introduction and then we kick the show and we start. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As you say, my name is Jean-Baptiste Latikman. I chair and represent the Rwanda Youth and Business Forum, as well as the Continental Network of Youth Seniors, Officials and Professional today.
Thank you so much. My name is Cheese Muraba. As you said, I'm the Executive Director of Root Foundation, which is an NGO. But on the other side, I also run some few businesses affiliated to Root Foundation. We have Root House, which is in service, hospitality management, and Completion Group, which runs Mirror Group and Mirror Protocol.
Basically, the reason why we invited you, I and my family here, is because they know you started many startups.
Okay.
Some of them failed, others survived, others are now living well. And I know the reason why we also invited you is because you are heading a very big forum of youth and business, not only in Rwanda but also on an African level. That means there are so many startups
being started every single day under agriculture and agripreneurship. And I know as a chairman, maybe you follow every single day why those startups start and then tomorrow fail. Basically, we don't talk about ethics of businesses and diplomacy. We'll go deep and see why do they really fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really call a spade, and that's it. Thank you so much. Yeah, my pleasure. I'll be jumping in and on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Frank. I think this time, let us give this chance to Mr. Muragwa. Mr. Muragwa, I would like to know, to be honest, tell us, why do you think most startups fail? What is the reason behind that?
And using your story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can confess sometimes.
Thank you so much. I think it comes from the name. We even call them startups, you know, like starting, as we know, even in, I'm a newlywed person. I have a startup family now. It's my first year, and when you go to school, you're starting in your first year. Starting is hard. Starting is not easy. So why the startup fails, I think you're talking about these companies that fail when they are still startups, because at some point they are no longer startups, you know. So talking about startup failing, that means these businesses that fail in their early stages. So, and the reason, I think, maybe if I can allow me, I can give 3 reasons.
Sure.
I think the first reason startup fails is the founders. The founders, these people who are starting the businesses, sometimes they are not driven by the purpose, but by this end success that they think they are going to achieve in the next year. And that mindset can very easily destroy your company. And that is not just that problem, but it makes them also fail to build a team. Because when you fail to build a team, that's exactly the beginning of failing, because there's no person who can run a business alone or who can put everything around them, and then that's the beginning of failing. The second, going quickly, the second reason I think is the purpose itself. Many people go into business with just money as their purpose, and having money as your purpose to go in business is a problem. I mean, money, of course, it's the main thing that you're looking when you're doing business, but instead of focusing on money, these people, the entrepreneurs, a real entrepreneur should focus on the cause. Why did I start a business? Because when I focus on why I started my business, that makes money. You see? But if I focus on money, sometimes I don't really care on why I really started. And that will make that money fade away in very few days. So that's...
Sorry to interrupt. I want you to... Now, outside here, we have younger entrepreneurs. We have people who want to do business.
Yeah.
I want in language, you mention a factor, just 1 or 2, just that can become like a takeaway to a younger entrepreneur, just 1. You mean, say for example, this factor, majorly I can assure you, according to my experience, yes, it is the main root cause of most startups fail.
Like for example, why do you think you fail in your businesses?
Okay.
So some of them.
Just in layman's language,
That's
simple
actually,
language. Yes.
that's a good, I like the way you put the question. I had many of my startups, I've done, okay, giving an example, today my oldest business or my oldest organization is 7 years old. And one of my very good businesses failed from last year and had to completely be a failure, you know, Now I'm working on, we're working on raising it again, but this year, and it was 3 years old. And I have another startup, which is one of my best. I really loved that startup. It's still running at University of Rwanda. And it's only 3 years old, but I know it's not going to fail at all. And the difference in those business, maybe just talking about the one at University of Rwanda and the one which is in the hospitality actually. I won't mention the name because some of the people still think it, But the difference is really between people, team.
Okay.
The one at university,
Having a right team.
the right team and trusting the right team. That's why I said one of the main reasons startup fails is the founders put the things around their necks and not more. And then without you, a business can no longer run. So that's what I'm saying. So for example, my business that is in tough times,
If you're sick of malaria, the
company is also struggling. So that's
you
I
have
think.
divorce with your wife,
And then the company is
company
struggling. And
is
it's in many, that's a problem that is many startups here and there.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Mragwa. Thank you so much for you. You have mentioned having the right team can help a company or a business to grow, or having not a poor team or a right team is a benchmark according to you
then
to
the
having
company,
your business
company
grow
grows very proportional to the team.
to the team. Okay, let us hear from Jean-Baptiste. Okay, tell us, according to you, what do you think? In a simple language, in simple terms, in summary, to somebody who is watching and who is listening to us, why do you think most startups fail, businesses fail?
In basically focus on the agri businesses.
I'm not going to tell you what I think,
Yes.
but I will tell you
What-
have as
Yeah.
reality in the sector.
Wow, thank
You
you.
know, we are dealing with agriculture and agribusiness,
Yes.
and representing a forum of young entrepreneurs in business. It means from input suppliers, producers of either crops or livestock, and value addition operators who do like small processing units, as well as the ICT operators in the sector. The reasons behind the failure of different enterprises, starting from the startups owned by young people in general, are caused by three major threats. The first threat is the understanding of the business opportunity. Like my colleague Mragwa talked about it, the business opportunity comes because you have already identified the problem in the society. Like for this time being, we are dealing with food security, but food security is not the purpose behind a business operator. A business operator finds in lacking food as an opportunity. First of all, he is driven by producing enough and quality food to avail. And when you think about producing food, you think about involve the costs. You either production cost or transaction cost, but you think about estimating the cost. Before you can estimate the cost, you first of all find the real market. Who is going to buy what from me? When aggregating those information, you are now deeply entering your sector. And like my colleague talked about it, there is still the startups are not deepening the understanding of the business opportunities that they are dealing with. And that is behind the failure, because I will have started a business because maybe someone shared me with information about the application opportunity in their fund somewhere, and I am driven by that money, that's 5,000 or 10,000, and I'm just running out of that money so that I can get it, but I'm not really driven by the business sense of the enterprise itself. And you'll find at the end, successful enterprise are not owned by only one single person. It's about team building. It's about identifying potential partners. Because when you identify well the market opportunity, those challenges, and you start now listing all the remedies, solutions, most of the solutions will be provided by people, will not be provided by money. Yes. Money comes as a means of transaction, not a must to succeed in the business, because even market is going to be owned by the demand, because the people who need the solution or your products are the ones to determine how much you're going to produce. It's not about how much I want, it's about how much quantity and quality they do want. Now, apart from that kind of understanding where the business opportunity, in that understanding, you see there is a need of skills. There is skills gap among the startups, and managerial skills or technical skills in the domain, concentrating only on agribusiness because it's a technical, agriculture is a science-based industry. It's not about dreaming, it's about understanding and doing the right, even making the right decisions. Now, apart from skills development, there is also a kind of mentorship, like coaching. There is no, on the side of startups, because some of them come with innovations, and those innovations maybe no one knows about it. And because agriculture has no, it doesn't have a good background in our society. Because even when someone is young and say, I'm a farmer, everyone starts asking themselves, oh, are you a farmer? Farmer. Because of the last image of the last decades or centuries or even some months ago, many people think agriculture is just seeing someone with dirty hands or even poor image. But when you talk about the reasons, there is that poor mindset behind agriculture in our society, and then poor understanding, then funds comes later. Money is also a problem, because you are not going to say, I will succeed in the business without investing. Business means investment, and lack of investment, because startups already, like you said, startup is just at starting level, and if you don't have at least some capitals available with you, you cannot say, I'm going to succeed. If you're going to go in poultry, you must go to Gorilla or other business to buy feed. If you cannot afford to buy those feeds, don't think you are going to produce eggs. If you cannot, don't dream about that livestock sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe this time around, I wish again to pose this question to Mr. Muragwa. Muragwa has already mentioned two significant points. One is that capital is not always, capital is necessary, but sustaining a business is the key, is the bedrock of having your business going on and succeeding. And you mentioned about having the right team as also a necessity to having your business a success. But I would like both of you to bring you to another view, or maybe to ask you another question. Now, imagine you are advising a younger person who is going to start a business, and you have mentioned all of those factors. I want you to help him understand exactly what are the likely uncertainties that that person should pay attention much to before he starts a business.
Well, for example, you've had some of the startups failing, you know, and now imagine you had the chance to start over. Imagine all the past is gone. Now you're freshly starting. How could you do it?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's the same question like you asked, and I think talking to a younger entrepreneur, a new one coming to entrepreneurship, I would tell them to make sure they understand the problem which they want to solve, like he said, Baptiste. Because until you understand the problem, any solution you're bringing is not the right one. Because I heard a story of one guy who produced the cigarette without smoke. And he made them because he hoped that people will buy it because smoke caused them cancer. And they'll be like, okay, so for protecting their lungs and for protecting themselves from cancer, they are going to buy this cigarette without smoke. And then coming to the market, nobody was interested in that cigarette because he should have understood why people love smoking. It's more about that smoke, you know. And like he said, every entrepreneur who's coming in the game, he should understand that it's not really about him. It's not about her. It's about the market. It's about these people that he wants to serve. And the second, very important, like you mentioned about team, I would really tell him to trust some people, you know. I mean, it's in human nature, people hesitate to trust. But this world is run by trust, especially business. Even people who buy from you, who come to you, it's because they trust you. Before they test your product, they are coming, you know. So that's why I would tell that entrepreneur, is trust some people. Find some people who have potentials that you will need, that you as a person you don't have. Find those people, team up with them, believe in the process, you know. Don't rush, because when you go alone, I know it's easier to go faster. But when you have people fear the team because it takes longer to decide, it takes longer to take, you know, an initiative. But without the right people, it's hard, and it's not. It's hard to create a product that is really the right one for many people, because without people, it's hard to have ideas, diverse ideas. And from diverse ideas, that's when you can have like a really, I will leave the other advices to come from my brother here, but I would give those two as the key, you know. Find some people with potentials, trust them, you know, and then find a problem, understand it, and solve it. Yeah.
Something I want to bring on the light.
Yeah.
Because again, when we invite people to find partners, like in my businesses, daily businesses, there are times when you're trusting people again, you have to know, do we share the same why?
Sure.
Because sometimes business is diverse. Business has, you may have a group that has a subsidiary on a service, another subsidiary on a product, another subsidiary on a technology, maybe solution. And then you find you have a team of 4 guys. One guy is very interested in, you know, taking the company on an international level. Another one is interested in taking the company deep in the villages. Another one is interested in getting the cashes. And you find these guys, whenever you're in a meeting, you have different whys. So I think also as they're being invited to have the shareholders, the equity shares, having the chairman, the board members, these are guys to really take your time and rigorously decide who is this guy am I bringing on.
But even before you get to that extent, because that is, maybe you will need the board and shareholders and partners, not in the first month, not in the second month, not in the first stage. But even on the early stage, you need some people to brainstorm with, you know?
Sure.
You need some people to trust your idea with, you know?
The community to be around.
Yeah, the community to be around. People who can really push your idea to the next level beyond only your ideas. So that's what I mean.
But also the reason why these guys, like for me, why one of my businesses failed, I brought guys on the team based on a trust. We didn't write a shareholding agreement later. We thought we are friends. You see? And then that's why I'm coming back on the trust. We started a business, we shared shares in RDB, everything was registered, no shareholding agreement later. Later on, money came in, another thing came in. When the cake becomes big, there comes the problem of sharing the portions. So if you don't have a shareholding later document, you have issues.
I think that's what Baptiste meant with managerial skills.
Yeah,
we can continue on that.
Yeah.
We can't go blind.
Yes.
It's not about dreaming.
It's not about trust.
Yeah.
Even if he's your cousin, when you get 1 billion, you will know that he's actually not your cousin.
I think he can develop on that.
Frank, that is very good. Jean-Baptiste, I want you to tell people outside here. You mentioned about doing a market research and you come up with a good idea that meets the customer's needs. That is point number 1.
Yes.
But as you know, in agriculture domains or any other business, by the way, money is always a tug of war race. It's not easy to raise money. for starting a business. And many young entrepreneurs, they don't have jobs, or they have little paying jobs. So we are here and we want DecideX, this forum, to help people create a second income. By the way, personally, I'm a livelihood officer at Food for the Hungry, FH Rwanda. So that is my daily thing that I think. How can you sell that one to the younger people? How can they get finance, money to start a business? What should they do?
Okay. I'm going to give you.
But also, I want that he brings also a managerial concept
Yes.
on the startups.
Yes. It's a short scenario.
Yeah.
That will bring the image of how will be seen instead of finding people struggle on the street, saying that there is no capital, there is no heart. Let's say, for example, you are dealing with livelihoods in rural areas mostly, where even you have those volunteer savings and lending groups.
Yes, sure.
You see that concept.
Yes.
You will see those rural people, even who used to be called poor people, but they can manage to save 200 francs per day. If there are a team of 30 people with 200 per day, every week is like 1,400. And if there are 30 people, they used to have the little emergence, to have the kind of short-term loans of 3 months, and they pay extra 5 to 10%. And you find, even when you go to the National Bank of Rwanda, the data show that those kind of small business, but informal savings and lending, those schemes have a big amount of money in saturation in those areas. And even we used to work with different cooperatives and farmers, training them how to formalize those kind of volunteer savings and lending, with opening bank accounts in the different banks so that they can protect their money, because even their treasurers keep their money in their houses. And those models show the right track to go with, while inserting, telling to the youth, to the young generation, to join together, make sure they can start with little saving. And when you go to managerial skills and managerial path, there will be a kind of management. How do we attract money? We'll be attracting money, not because of you want to produce that food, but because you want your money to prosper and make profit. If you meet with that cooperative of 150, 25 or 30 people, young people who started at something, who can have good brain, you'll be joining them, but that is where managerial terms come. How much do you invest? But they will have started already. And when you come to technical skills, it's about understanding the sector. Because if we know we are in an era of changing climate, we are not going to use the same methods and the techniques like our ancestors from the last 5 centuries. We must bring out innovations. We must protect the environment. We must collect the rainwaters. We must use the little soil and produce enough food. We must recycle where it's possible. We must. It's about different technologies. Now we are blessed that we are dealing with a young generation that is educated. Yes. We are blessed with having this kind of technology, smartphone, access to information. Everything is on Google. Everything is online, and it's a kind of mentorship. Mentorship is a big C. You cannot talk about mentorship and the complete. It means our young people would collect those information, and that collect of information means a lot. Now, talking about management, it's about understanding the process of managing, because a good manager of a business don't own the business on their own. They own the business for management purpose. It's not for them. It means I manage this business. That's why I must work with different people and how to work with, because the business is owned by buyers.
We're running out of time. Please share a story of one startup you know that failed, and you say it failed because of this, I swear. And if it is you, mention that it's your business. So give a story of a business you know, or yours, and you know it failed for sure because of this. Either it can be an entrepreneur, the owner, or the business structure. Share anything.
Thank you so much. I will also put a difference in taking a break and failing.
All right.
Because that's something that entrepreneurs also need to know. Every time their business can't run, it's not necessarily they take it as for example, I served for 1 year in the Kigali city as in charge of Kigali Youth Forum. And part of the things we used to do is to receive youth, the young people's projects, and connect them to the funders. By that time, there was this youth employment fund from the Ministry of Labor. And I've seen many cooperatives starting and running, some failing, and others are still running. Reason I saw in many cooperatives is understanding of money. Because sometimes you think a problem is lacking capital, but here I witnessed 50 million Rwandan francs being given to a cooperative, you know? And then these are 50 guys together, they know how to sew, they have sewing machines and all that, but then after 1 year, they can't run. And I'm like, it was 50 million francs, you know? And I think that's where Baptiste talked about understanding of money and process. And that's what I mentioned earlier. I think if you're an entrepreneur watching us today, or if you're running a cooperative or a business, or if you're part of a business in any form, please understand that money comes because people believe in the product.
Said what?
Thank you so much.
Money comes because the people you're serving believe in your product. So focus on the product. Don't think so much on money. Focus on the product.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moragwa. Let us hear from Jean Baptiste. May you please wrap up on the agribusiness sector?
Yeah, thank you very much. Agribusiness sector is a very interesting business, but a very complicated business sector as well, because it requires a deep understanding, it requires science, it requires even taking the managerial skills of the management side aside and adapting them in the agricultural sector.
Sure.
And because it is a long and a complex value chain, it needs deep attention. That's why few of the businesses in agriculture are now taking pace, but we hope because of different strategies, different coaching methodology, different mentorship programs, different interventions, we hope that the future is good and it will be brilliant for us.
Yes.
But young people actually need accompaniment. They need mentorship. Mentorship is key, helping them to understand.
Mentorship by their parents, by the government,
mentorship,
by the
it is
institutions,
by both. Because
It's their duty to find
parents,
It's their duty. I like
I
that.
was-
parents,
That's what I wanted.
yeah.
I was wondering what you can tell younger people, just people in general, what should they, how can they avoid the stereotypic bad image of agriculture or the agrophobia? That's how they call it.
Yes.
How can they?
Yes.
You know, what can you tell
That
them?
image is not being given by young people,
Yeah.
but it is being given by old people.
Okay.
First of all, parents and old people in general should help little and small initiatives from the young people about agriculture, because agriculture is a source of food and source of livelihood. Apart from erasing that poor image, there is a need to accompany their children, their students at school, their mentees, if they're mentors, their co-workers in different institutions. It means a coaching and mentorship should be key and endless process. Thirdly, there is a need to understand how funding mechanisms should be done, because you are managing different funding in different ways. Also, the process of helping people to get out of lack of capital. They should be supported to have at least those kind of money, because you cannot think about agriculture and we are not going to blame startups because they don't have money. We should blame them because of not applying the required technology.
Thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste. I like that agriculture is the source of livelihood. I like that.
Absolutely.
That is my take.
Absolutely.
My takeaway. Let me welcome Mr. Frank to give us to summarize, you know, our interaction here, and you tell the people in brief. I'll train the points.
Thank you so much. I mean, it was an amazing team, and I love the way each of us was much more realistic, not really, you know, giving the bubbles. My take from the whole conversation, also from my experience spending 2 years in startup environment, and the good thing is that my office actually is in charge of startups. They all come to me every single day. One thing I've seen, number one, we will appreciate the government of Rwanda. They are trying to create an environment. Of course, the whole environment doesn't have all the recipes. We need to have a good ingredient we want in the environment. But at least with the leadership, there is an ecosystem of business and easy way of doing business. And now the whole problem comes to the individuals, the entrepreneurs themselves. I'm telling you, the company will never grow beyond the owner. You are, I mean, of recent, Jay-Z was asked that, Jay-Z, are you he runs so many businesses. And he was asked, Jay-Z, are you a businessman? He was like, no, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business. So once a young man understands that he is not running a company, he himself is a company, that will be a paradigm shift. So the problem now here we have is, number one, my attitude, because, man, we come from families that have never touched $1 million. We come from poor families that have never had bank accounts. My dad has never sent me to his own bank account. How will I know the banking system if my dad has never sent me to a bank? And that's my story. That's your story, probably. That's the most of us stories. So, of course, we have the background issues with business, and by the way, the culture as well. Like in my family, in my tribe, in my, province, doing business, it's like, one, you are selfish. Two, you are becoming something else. I don't know, there's a way they perceive you. So perception, understanding of the business, also understanding the business role. Because when you don't understand the business role, there are a lot of mistakes you make with your clients. You go to the police, you face a lot of issues because you don't understand the business law. I encourage every young businessman locally, take your time and read the whole business law. Take your time and understand banking. Take your time and understand taxing, because these things will affect you. Taxing doesn't mean giving money and tax. No. Even doing declaration that you didn't make any profit. That discipline of doing declaration. So the other thing is understanding people. There's a way young men, this is my last point. There's a way young men, we think if you start a business, I have to find a friend of mine who is a minister, and then he co-founds with me, that there my business will grow so fast. I'm telling you, you're wrong. For me now, that's the same thing I did in my first businesses. But today, if I can start a business, I will look for my peer. A guy who shall sleep in the midnight working on a project. This muzeh, this minister you are looking for, when it comes to 8 p.m., he will go to his wife. And he will start in the office, sleep in the midnight. Morning, you will not call him because of his honor. When you have issues with small clients, he will not come in the meeting with small clients. You better find a man of your age. You struggle together. You face the challenges. You call each other in the midnight. You will never call a man who runs a ministry or a big company, a bank. You will never call him in the midnight when he's sleeping with his wife. So you guys better focus on your peers. Forget things of big people. I have to find a man, my uncle who is, no. Start a business with your peer and struggle together and accept that failing is part of success. Yeah.
It's not always failing.
It's not always failing. It can be a break.
Take a break.
Yes.
Revive.
To be honest, in my business, the last 3 months, I've never been making even a single coin. But I know the business is still continuing.
Oh, that's
So, yeah.
Which means failure is part of learning.
I mean, summation of failures make up the success.
But I like the point of read. Inform yourself. They need to inform themselves. Some entrepreneurs don't even read the newspaper.
They don't.
And the entrepreneurs.
Anyway, we're done. Let's come to the end.
Thank you so much, Frank. I think that is really amazing. I thank you so much. Thank you, Jean Batista. Thank you so much. We thank you also, Muragwa. Cheers. I think you can also tell them what you do. And me and Frank, we are co-host of the DecideX. So we appreciate, and we hope that maybe our audience, the younger guy there down who wants to start something, is inspired already. Or somebody who runs a business has already picked something that is going to use.
I mean, I think instead of telling them what they do, because that's advertisement, tell them a quotation.
Or something
Let's
like
go.
that, yes. Or something like that, yeah. So,
Let's go, man.
Yeah. I mean, you entrepreneur watching or a friend of an entrepreneur, go tell your friend, inform yourself, understand the game. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Everyone who took the time to interact with us through this conversation. I wish everybody in the business process to take a business as not their own, but the business is owned by the customers, the clients. Do the best for your clients.
What I can say for me is, if you're young, under 25, start now, because there's always a time for making mistakes. You will never jump that stage. So you better start early and then make mistakes, and then once you turn to 30, you are now in a success stage.
thank you, all of you. We expect to also, by the way, next Sunday, the same hour, that is 1 to 2 p.m. That is when DecideX airs out. So please, we expect your contribution is going to continue. Yes, advising not only the entire public, but also your personal circles. We thank you and we appreciate you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man.
Yeah.
Was this meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah. Thank you.